very simply, our mission is to make healthy living easy and affordable to everybody. And the way that we do that is we offer the highest quality organic and non-GMO groceries that you would get at a normal health food store, but at 25 to 50% off, shipped to your home for free. And we're able to do that because we buy from the brands, we cut out the middlemen in the supply chain, cut out the retail markup, and pass those savings along to our members who pay $60 a year. So you imagine a big box shopping club online with aspirational values. So families that are spending thousands of dollars a year on groceries are able to get organic groceries at the same price as conventional equivalents for the first time in history, shipped to their home for free. So really it's kind of like Whole Foods meets Costco online in a very simple framework. And then for every paid membership, we give a membership away to a low-income family, a teacher, a student, or a veteran. And given my own kind of background, seeing how difficult it is for people to make healthy choices, like how real that can be, we felt like if you couldn't afford the membership, if the membership was going to be an obstacle for you accessing this food, that we wanted you to be able to get one for free. And so that was really primary to the way that we thought about the architecture of the business. It started from a very personal place. I grew up really poor with a single mom and saw how hard she worked to make healthy choices, and that just left a huge burning impact to me. And it always seemed crazy to me that food with lots of chemicals and processing costs less than food with no chemicals and processing. It's like, the earth is up and the sky is down. I mean, that's just like one of those things that just seems completely backwards. And when my mother remarried, my stepfather was running a food co-op out of a little hippie commune that he started in Ojai, California. And so I got to see the power of group buying and as a way to make food more affordable and build community. And as I went on in my own entrepreneurial career, I always felt like there was this incredible opportunity to democratize access to healthy living, but that to do it in a really aspirational mainstream way that kept the heart and soul of the hippie movement, but also made it more mainstream and accessible. So, that was really the position that I came from it, And I think business is arguably one of the most transformational forces on the planet. We all share this basic idea that we're here to serve something greater than ourselves. Yes, we're going to use the capital system to make money, but also there's a really powerful way to align incentives that really helps the planet, helps people live a better life. So that's just the basic instinct for me at this point. Access is really a three-legged stool in our world. So it's about price, geography, and education. So selling previously premium products for less within an aspirational brand experience. Geography, in that we ship to people wherever they are, even if they're in a food desert or they're not near health food stores. And education in terms of content that helps, inspires, and educates people about why it matters. So we produce courses and videos and recipes and articles. We've spent millions of dollars on content at this point around how do carbs turn into sugar? Why should you care about toxic ingredients in your cleaning supplies? We did a whole 22-part video course series that was all about helping low-income families hack their health food budget. And it's like simple things like when you make a meal for your family, make extras so that you save time and money, and here's effective ways to store the food. So there's so many little simple things that can be done that we might take for granted because we're in very privileged positions. And a lot of people, they're just so harried by their crazy lives, so desperate in their circumstances that it just, we want to be able to empower people in a really accessible way wherever they are in the conversation. And so we're a very big tent. Like an example of that is, people are like, oh, well, you have marshmallows on your site. Yeah, people are going to buy marshmallows. So if they're going to buy marshmallows, I want to make sure they're getting good marshmallows, and then we can have a conversation with them about a whole bunch of other things that they can get besides marshmallows. So for us, it's really, I think what's so exciting about the food movement in general is that it's such a scalable organizing principle. I've been looking for something my whole life that brings people together. It doesn't matter who you are, where you live, what you believe, what the color of your skin is. Everybody wants to feel good in their bodies. Everybody wants the same thing for their children. And to me, that is such a beautiful place to live in a world of increasing political dysfunction. There's so much polarization, and people feel like, there's no way to break the gridlock. Well, food is one of those ways. It's a common denominator. And when we break bread metaphorically together, we come together And when we empower people to live healthy, we're helping them, we're helping communities, we're dealing with major macroeconomic issues. $300 billion a year are spent in this country just on diabetes. It's just one of several major lifestyle diseases that are largely driven by dietary habits. Helping people shift to organic agriculture and regenerative agriculture. Conventional agriculture production today is the second largest contributor of greenhouse gases. So, with 7.5 billion of us on the planet, it's absolutely essential that we change the way we produce, distribute, market, and consume food. And that is a holistic relationship that is not just about the brands, but it's also about consumers taking responsibility for themselves too. It is something that we have to do together. The crazy thing about this situation is we have a political economic situation where taxpayers are subsidizing insidious behavior. And it's the most extreme, egregious forms of crony capitalism and corporate welfare. $10 billion a year given to sugar companies to subsidize their supply chains. And then taxpayers fund that and then fund multiples of that downstream with people with medical costs because of those upstream subsidies making it artificially cheap. So this is such a dynamic moment. The good news for us is the extremity of the problem, the absolute extreme nature of the crises that we confront is going to force massive change. I think any great organization is all about its people. So it's, whether it was in the beginning, whether it's now, whether it's later, the biggest challenge that we'll ever face is how do we find, attract, and cultivate the best possible people? And how do we get out of the way and set them up to succeed and feel empowered in their work? And that has been an incredible process of having to mature as a human being, as a founder. In my first businesses, I micromanaged everything. I was just terrible. And for me, I failed enough with a few successes along the way that I came to this point where at Thrive, I was like, I want to make sure I have people that are way smarter than me. And I'm going to get out of their way because I want us to solve this problem together. And that started very early on with my co-CEO and co-founder Nick. He's just an incredible guy, and he came in pre-launch to the business, and we just iterated on the model, iterated on the name, and we have this beautiful relationship where we're just radically transparent with each other. Like I'm like a wild, crazy hippie artist, that's great at partnerships, and he's, an incredibly consistent, methodical Harvard grad with incredible vision and passion. And so we like perfect complement for each other. Right. And we have very public disagreements with each other. And we tell everybody, hey, this is not about a yes culture. This is not about, this is not about getting it right individually. This is about us getting it right together. And this is a contest of ideas. How do we actually solve this problem? Because it's fucking hard. Yeah. And we need to rub and test ourselves until, in a positive, loving, respectful way, but that's a high performance culture. So that's, just finding great people, and as the business has grown, building a culture that embodies the values that we espouse externally. So we have the same medical benefits for the entire staff that we do as co-CEOs. We run a food program for our HQ. We have, wellness and mindfulness programs. There's no right or wrong way to do that, but that's in a continuum of dialogue and discussion about how do we do this. I love events. That's part of why I'm excited about Tree, and I think festivals is a really powerful dynamic for the emerging transformational culture for young people, and so I personally just get a huge gratification around bringing people that I love together, and seeing them be happy. That just basic human thing that just it checks one of my core boxes, and so whether it's small groups or large groups, and so that's it. I just love bringing people together. For me, the meaning of life is to realize my full potential as a human being and help others to do the same. And when I look at it, all life, that's basically the program that I see consciousness running. All things want to get as big and healthy as they can, and they want to pass that information along. So for me, it's like, how do we transcend our fears, our self-limited ideas about ourselves, the ideas that we've been given by our parents or society or by advertising or whatever it is? How do we transcend those things and really reach our full potential as a constant evolving process and generously help people do the same thing? The fact is that we can have direct communications with the entire world. There are no intermediaries in the same way. Right. It used to be 15 years ago, there was all sorts of gatekeepers. The gatekeepers are falling down and trying to figure out their relevancy. Right. And that's a beautiful thing. Intrinsically, that is a fabulous thing for our possibilities of consciousness. I think one of the things that I love to think about and talk about is, we've been here basically a very short period of time as human beings. We've been here less than 200,000 years on a planet that's been here for billions of years. And for the majority of our time here as Homo sapiens sapiens, have been less than 1 billion of us on the planet as hunter-gatherers, moving around from one place to another, harvesting the natural fruits of the land. And with the birth of agriculture in the last 5,000 years, you get this incredible dynamic hockey stick of shifts that start to stack on top of themselves. People congregating in concentrated populations, the ability to produce ever greater amounts of food that support ever larger amounts of population, the birth of business, currencies, technology to support that whole ecosystem of exchange. And over the last 5,000 years with the birth of agriculture, you go from 1 billion people to 2 billion people 1945. World War II, 2 billion people. And from 1945 to today, less than 70 years, go from 2 billion people to over 7 billion people. Coming online, wanting to live the dream. So this is an amazing dynamic experiment that is going to have all sorts of incredible dark and light. That's a long conversation, but just in a short piece. I think, there's two primary emotions, love and fear, and everything stems from that. And so the great challenge that we confront is, can we transcend our survival biology, like incredibly successful technology that got us to this point. And for us to successfully navigate that place that you're talking about, we have to shift from having our awareness be constantly obsessed with and responding to fear, and we have to shift to more love, more beauty, more goodness, more generosity, more reciprocity as a fundamental way of relating to each other and to ourselves. And so for me, when I think about the expression of human potential in this beautiful, romantic, idealistic future, I think it's a world where, there is a much deeper recognition of how pervasive love is, how embodied we are in that experience of having our lives be dedicated towards something greater than our own self-interest. That we're not here just to serve our own benefit, but we're here as a continuum of consciousness in relationship with each other and all life, as a way to express beauty and consciousness. And so for me, that's the core piece. And I'm constantly challenging myself because I'm afraid every day. I am afraid. I'm afraid every day. I have my shadows, my fears, my doubts, my insecurities. But the opportunity to look at them, to get intimate with them, to be humbled by them, it is the most beautiful experience for me. It is the thing that one of the things that I cherish most is to be able to get really intimate with those dark parts of myself and to have the opportunity to challenge myself to be more unconditional in my love for myself and others. That's where we transcend so many of our limitations, and that's where the incredible, we're so powerful as a species. I mean, we're just such a remarkable species. The stories of what we know of people, what they can do, and the acts of generosity and humility, and that exists in all of us. They're not like Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks. They're not different people. That's us. Yeah. And we can all live to that potential and inspire others to do the same thing. And so that's to me what the future looks like.